Hi everybody, my name is Keisha Figueroa and I'm here to tell you a story about how I encountered with a haunted hotel and a ghost. So it was Mother's Day. I went on a Mother's Day vacation with my mom and my sister. We went to Jamaica. We went to a hotel named the Grand Palladium. It was a beautiful hotel. I mean, it had like 13 different restaurants. We did medical spas. It had beach on the resort. We went swimming. It was beautiful. You would never think that it was haunted or that any type of ghost would be there. It was beautiful. So it was Mother's Day. We were there for about 5 days. So when the 5 days was up, I came back home. I brought my suitcases up to the door, and as I was trying to get into my door, there was the huge web that covered my face and my body as I entered into my house. So I go inside the house. It was a normal day. I put away my things from my suitcases, get the kids ready for their next day, and everything was fine. I didn't feel any type of way. And when it was bedtime, I put the kids to bed and I fell asleep on my sofa, and there was something that woke me up out of my sleep. So when I woke up, I looked down to the end of my sofa and there's a little woman sitting on top of my sofa. So I sit up from the sofa and I touch myself, I touch my body, and just to see, am I awake? Am I dreaming? Is this real? Like, why is this woman sitting on my sofa in my living room? Who is she? This woman had a red bandana. She had brown shoes. She was a dark, older woman. And she's looking at me. She has a long sugarcane stick in her hand. And so I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, like, this is a ghost. This woman is a ghost. She's sitting on my sofa and this is real. So she takes the sugarcane stick and she hits me with it. And when she hits me with it, I can feel the hit on my skin. And then she said something to me in Patois language, in her language. I don't know Patois, and I didn't know what the message was that she was trying to get to me. But by her hitting me with the stick and then saying something in Patois, I realized that she was trying to get a message out to me. So after she hit me with the stick, I fell back to sleep. And when I woke up, I tried to look up what the message that she was trying to get to me. What did she want me to know? So I Googled online about cobwebs and ghosts, and there was a story in Google about cobwebs. Like, if there's a cobweb that you walk into or over your house, that there's a ghost that you're going to encounter with that day. So that was my experience with the web. It was a ghost that I encountered with from Jamaica, from the hotel that I brought back with me. She was trying to get a message out to me, and I don't know what it was. That was the day I realized that ghosts really exist. It was my first time encountering a real live ghost. And that is my story, learning that ghosts exist in haunted hotels.
Hi, my name is Joe Weegent, and I am the owner of Tri-State Holistic Wellness. I'm also the founder of EPIC, the Evansville Paranormal Investigations and Consulting Group. Part of our job is to respond to cries for help when people have unusual occurrences in their homes. We then go out and do a sight reading and help to pass those spirits along. Now, part of what I get to do is to communicate with spirit. And in that vein, I have had a number of experiences where I have really had some close encounters with some really wild things. So here's story number one. One of the first homes that we cleaned out was in Tell City, Indiana, which is a couple of hours from here. And so during that investigation, it was myself and a friend of mine who was kind of teaching me the ins and outs of mediumship. And we also had a lady with us who is a practicing shaman who came up from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, during our investigation, as we were approaching the house from a couple of miles away, I got the feeling that the spirit was wanting to try to mess with the vehicle. So I alerted my buddy who was driving, and I said, I think they're going after the car, and he felt the same way. So we shielded the car, and that kind of helped keep things at bay for a while. But as soon as we showed up to the house, and it was an older house, we all felt as though we were being watched, and felt as if things upstairs were looking at us as we were approaching. Now, the story on the house is that the fellow there was doing some amateur paranormal investigations, trying to collect EVPs and recordings and things like that. And he was afraid that he had brought some things home with him. And he showed us some photos that he had taken, and he had texted them to us, where he had been scratched in the middle of the night. And the upstairs attic, which had been converted to a bedroom, they could not sleep in it anymore. When we got there, they described things like visible orbs actually moving through the house, and everybody in the house could see them. They were hearing doors creaking, pipes making noise. They were definitely getting the feeling they were being watched. They were getting feelings of dread, feelings of being told to get out. So we went through the house and started looking at things. As we were heading up the stairs to go to the room that had the greatest amount of activity, Spirit turned the light off on us. And that light switch was the one that controlled not only the lights in the stairs, but also the lights in the upstairs attic all across the entire top of the house. And so the lights were turned off on us. I found a few portals up in the attic, and I was able to close those down. And we went on to investigate the rest of the house. Now, in the basement, we definitely got some creepy things going on down there. There were a couple of spirits that were still lingering on, and they had to be passed over into the light. So we went about that particular duty. When we got to the shed out back, the shed was a two-level small outbuilding. The top part of it could be driven in on one side from the hill, but underneath was another part under that was being held up by columns. So you could enter it from the top, or you could go down underneath it, and there was a walled-in section down there underneath the shed. In the lower part was a old 1950s series blue Ford tractor, a standard tractor. While we were searching around there trying to find, any hints of anything going on, I put my hand on the tractor. And when I did, I immediately got the feeling of like the movie Christine, where the car would lurch forward and growl when it was wanting to accomplish some of its goals. And that's exactly the feeling that I felt in this tractor. When I put my hand on its engine cover, I immediately felt this lunging forward and this growling, and I could detect that someone had been killed by this tractor in some way. So I immediately alerted my friend, and I said, I think you need to put your hand on this tractor and see if you feel what I feel. And he did. He felt the exact same thing. He hadn't seen the movie Christine, but he described exactly the same thing that I was going through. So before we even went back into the house, I told the other two people that I was with, I'm going to have to do something with this area to get rid of this energy. And so I did some energetic techniques that helped to move some of that energy down into the earth and get rid of it. And when I finished, the tractor no longer had that same feeling, but we still got the hint that somebody had been run over by this tractor at one time. So we went into the house and began our smudging and our cleansing. And we started at the basement. And as we finished smudging the basement and were heading upstairs, it was my friend and me, and then our shaman friend. And she immediately screams out that someone had just pulled her dress. So we had to go back into the basement, clear out a couple of other trapped entities, and pass some other people on into the light and try to clear that room of any other people that were in the in-between space. Not quite human, but not quite to their next destination. So we were able to get that alleviated. Our plan with the smudging was to start at the basement, circle the basement, come up the stairs, circle the ground floor, and then go up the stairs into the attic, circle the attic. So that way the entire thing would be clean and we would just brush all the energy right out the attic windows. When we got to the top of the stairs, however, and I'll preface this by saying that before we began our smudging, we had set one of those Glad sandwich containers. Those real cheapy ones you can squeeze a little bit, but yet the rim is a little harder material. It's a little tougher. But they got the little blue snap lids on them. And we had taken the snap lid off and set this thing on top of a computer desktop tower and set it there, filled with white sand, and 4 black chime candles, which are the little bitty ones, about pinky size. And so we had those set there with a couple of pieces of jet, and this was going to absorb all the negativity of the house, especially after we had spiraled it up and up the stairs and into that. We would be able to use that to help clean up the area that we were smudging, and then bring all that out the window. But when we got to the top of the stairs during our smudging sequence, the Glad sandwich container, the rim around the outside had been chewed off, and there were actual teeth marks all the way around this thing. We never could find the rim. It was just the sidewalls leading up to bite marks all the way around it. The 4 candles were all laid over on their sides, and the sand had spilled out of this bowl. And we were really perplexed as to how this happened, because it looked like either it had been chewed or grabbed and pulled, and the plastic pulled away from itself. It looked a lot like chew marks. But we never did find the rim of this bowl. I wish we had kept it so I could show this to people when I tell this story. But this was a really odd occurrence that doesn't often happen during paranormal investigations. So this was my, my second or third house clearing, entering into this line of work, and so we've had a lot of fun since then too. More stories to come. Thank you.